Shalom, and welcome to Parsha Highlights and Insights. This is Rabbi Fischer. This week's Parsha is Vayeira, continuing the stories uh, of Abraham and Sarah. And we can say that it will take us from Abraham at the age of 99, and it will take us all the way up to, as we'll see, Abraham at the age of 137. The parasha, it might be said, is divided into 9 parts. The first part is Abraham in Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron. Abraham is sitting in the entrance to his tent. Chazal say that he is actually recuperating from his recent circumcision, his brit, when he sees 3 men approaching. But this is as Hashem has also appeared to Abraham even before, and Abraham interrupts the visit with Hashem in order to welcome his guests, and he invites them to partake, and Abraham and Sarah serve a meal to their guests. During the course of this meal, they inform Abraham that Abraham and Sarah will have a son 1 year from this. Sarah hears this and she laughs. Hashem corrects Sarah, saying that she should have more faith in Hashem's abilities. We'll come back to that episode later. Then Abraham accompanies his guests. That's part of the mitzvah of Hachnasat Orchim, welcoming and taking care of guests, that he accompanies them on the beginning of the next leg of their journey. They're going down to Sodom. At the point that they depart from him, Hashem brings Abraham into his counsel, the fact that he has decided to destroy the cities of Sodom and the other 4 cities of the plain because of their wickedness. So Hashem tells Abraham about this because Abraham deserves to know this. But Hashem has decided the fate of Sodom. However, Abraham argues, we could say prays, we could say negotiates for the people of Sodom. His argument is that if there are righteous people in the place, then maybe their righteousness could save the entire place. He says perhaps there are 50 righteous people in Sodom. And it's Hashem's response is, if there were 50 righteous people, I wouldn't destroy. And then Abraham lowers the number to 45, to 40, to 30, to 20, and finally to 10. Apparently there aren't 10 righteous people in Sodom. All there is in Sodom is Lot and his family, who will be spared, but there aren't 10 people in Lot's family worth sparing. So it's at this point that Hashem withdraws and Abraham returns back home. That's the first section of the parasha. The second section of the parasha is specifically about the destruction of Sodom. The 2 visitors that had visited Abraham now come to Sodom. One of the 3 does not continue. He has fulfilled his mission, namely telling Sarah that she's going to have a child. The other 2 have the job of destroying Sodom and saving the family of Lot. Lot sees them, he greets them, he invites them. At first they refuse, but eventually they acquiesce to go into Lot's house, and Lot serves them. And it's very clear that Sodom is a very wicked place, because very soon the people of Sodom come from near and far in order to tell Lot to bring these outsiders, these guests who don't belong there, to them. And Lot tries to protect his guests. It does something very inappropriate, he offers his daughters instead. The angels strike the people of Sodom with blindness and they give up. So at this point, the focus is on rescuing Lot and his family. The angels say, "You may take your family before we destroy Sodom." Lot speaks to his sons-in-law, who have married two of his daughters. They don't take him seriously, and apparently they don't leave. Lot and his wife and the two remaining daughters, who are not married, they can leave. But Lot takes his time, he tarries, and the angels eventually, as time is running out, the angels transport them out of the city. They say to Lot, as we destroy Sodom, do not look behind you, flee instead to the mountain. Lot says that he's not able to do that. He's worried. Instead, let me take refuge in the small city. One of the five cities is very small, and Lot takes refuge there. And from that point, because he called it small, the city is known as Soar, which means minor. Uh, and then we learned about the actual destruction of Sodom. Uh, Sulfur and fire rain down from heavens, and the entire plain is flipped over. Lot's wife cannot resist. She looks behind her, and she becomes a pillar of salt. Abraham, from his vantage point, arises and he sees the destruction of Sodom. Hashem, however, spares Lot and his daughters. The, the Torah then tells us what happens with Lot and his two daughters. Lot doesn't stay in Zoar long. Instead, he lives in a cave with his daughters. The daughters uh, come to the conclusion that there is no one left. Maybe all of humanity has been destroyed, and it's left to them to start humanity anew. But the only way that they can do that is by being with their father. And in order for that to happen, they get him very drunk and they lie with him. One night the older daughter, the other night the younger daughter. The older daughter has a son called Moav, who's the father of the nation of Moab, and the younger one is called Ben-Ami, from whom come the nation of Ammon. That brings us to the end of the second part of the Parsha. The third part is about Abraham in the land of the Plishtim, because you see, after the destruction of Sodom, Abraham moves to the west and comes to the land of the Plishtim, the land of the Philistines. And when there, Abraham says that he and Sarah are brother and sister. The king, whose name is Avimelech, takes Sarah. Hashem warns Avimelech in a dream that he must give up this woman because she's a married woman, and he will be harmed if he doesn't do so. Avimelech then confronts Abraham. Why did you do this to me? And Abraham's explanation is, well, for one thing, I saw that there was no fear of God here. And if there's no fear of God, then they'll allow themselves to do anything, including killing me in order to take my wife. So by saying that we're brother and sister, at least they won't kill me. And the second point is that, in fact, we are half brother and half sister. Avimelech appeases Abraham and Sarah, giving him gifts, and Abraham prays on behalf of Avimelech and his household, and they are cured of the plagues that they have had. And this brings us to the fourth section of the parasha, the birth of Yitzchak. Hashem remembers Sarah, makes it possible for her to conceive a child to Abraham. When this child is born, Abraham is 100 years old and Sarah is 90 years old. The child's name is Yitzchak, as had been told before. Yitzchak is circumcised at the age of 8 days, which was the mitzvah that was given at the end of last week's parasha. And Abraham holds a celebration when Yitzchak is weaned. The fifth section of the parasha has to do with the expulsion of Yishmael and Hagar. Sarah observes that Yishmael is misbehaving and says that my Yitzchak cannot be raised together with Yishmael. She demands that Abraham expel Yishmael and Hagar. Abraham is reluctant, but Hashem tells him he must do what Sarah has said. Yitzchak is your true heir. Yishmael will also become a great nation, but the nation that you are creating will be through Yitzchak. And so Abraham sends Hagar and Ishmael away. And then when they are in the desert of Beersheba, the water has run out, and Hagar can't stand to see Ishmael dying. And so she goes a distance away, tearfully. Hashem listens, and Hashem listens, and Hagar sees a well of water, gives water to Ishmael, and Ishmael survives. Ishmael then grows up, and he lives in the desert of Paran. He becomes an archer, and Hagar even finds him a wife, taking a wife for him from Egypt. Then there is an episode between Avimelech, the king of Plishtim, and Abraham. Avimelech comes. He wants there to be a pact, or at least a non-aggression treaty. Hashem is with you. Swear you will not be false to me or to my future generations. Abraham is committed to this. There is a dispute over the ownership of a well, and then Abraham makes a covenant with Avimelech using 7 lambs, and the place is then called Beersheba, the well of the oath. And then Avimelech and his chief of staff, his chief general Pichol, return. Briefly, Abraham plants an eshel, which could either be a vineyard, an orchard rather, or some specific kind of a tent, but it's a place for Abraham to extend chesed and thereby teach about Hashem. Abraham lives in the land of the Plishtim for many years. And then we have the Akedah, the well-known Akedah, in which Hashem commands Abraham to take his only son, Yitzchak, and bring him up as a burnt offering. It takes 3 days for Abraham to make the journey together with Yitzchak and with 2 of his servants. When they come to the right place, Abraham and Yitzchak ascend the mountain together, and when Yitzchak asks, "Where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answers that God will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And it is understood that at this point, Yitzchak understands that he is meant to be the sacrificial lamb. At the Akedah, at the altar, Abraham ties up Yitzchak. That's why it's called Akedah, that means binding. Abraham is ready to fulfill Hashem's will when the angel tells Abraham not to do anything with Yitzchak. He has demonstrated that he is God-fearing. Abraham sacrifices the ram that he sees, and he calls the place Hashem Yireh, God will see, but it also means God will provide. The angel blesses Abraham and his descendants, and then Abraham returns, possibly temporarily, to Beersheba. And in the last 9th part of the Parsha, Abraham receives word about his brother Nahor's family, how his brother Nahor has had children and grandchildren, and among the descendants of Nahor that he learns about Rivka, and that will prepare us for the next week's parasha, in which Abraham is going to try to find a wife for Yitzchak, and that wife will eventually be Rivka. But more about that in next week's parasha. Now let's return to that episode at the beginning of the parasha where Sarah laughs at the the news that she's going to have a child. Her uh, her words to herself are different ways of translating. "Acharei veloti hayta li edna v'adoni zaken." After my being withered, after I've worn down. In other words, I'm an old person. Is it possible that I shall have enjoyment or youthfulness, and my husband is old? So Hashem uh, does not appreciate this expression of lack of faith on Sarah's part. So he gives, or say, admonition, and he says, "Why is it that Sarah laughed, saying, shall I actually be give birth, uh, and I am old?" So we take note of the fact that when Sarah spoke to herself, she said Abraham is old, whereas when Hashem, as it were, quotes it back to her, he says that she said, "I am old." So, on the basis of this, we learn in Masechet Yevamot that we learn from this that it is important to preserve peace, in this case, peace between husband and wife, shalom bayit, even if that means departing from the truth. Because after all, she said, my husband is old, and Hashem, in a sense, changed what she said so as not to cause further strife or friction between the husband and wife. And from this, we learn that that one is permitted, maybe even obligated, to change the absolute truth in order to preserve the peace. Rashi, in commenting on this, focuses on exactly what happened. That she said, "My husband is old," and Hashem repeats, "I am old." The Ramban takes note of the fact that Hashem isn't exactly changing what she says. He's only leaving out part of what she said. Because when she says, "I have withered," that means I am old. She also says that my husband is old. So she says, "I am old and my husband is old." So the Ramban says all that Hashem did was he left out part of what she said, and this in order to preserve peace between the husband and wife, from which we learn that although it is permissible or even obligatory to change the facts in order to preserve shalom, in order to preserve peace within the family, we should do as little change as we possibly can. All that Hashem has done, according to the Ramban, is left out part of what she said. He doesn't totally change it, he just leaves out part of it. So that should be considered. And the overriding idea is that it is important to help to maintain peace within the family. I thank you very much for joining me in this exploration of Parashat Vayeira. This has been Rabbi Abraham Fischer for Parasha Highlights and Insights, saying Shalom.